AT24/7, I'm Aaron Dean. President Joe Biden, just off his high-stakes visit to Israel, says Egyptian officials will open the crossing into Gaza in order to allow humanitarian aid to the region. More than 3,000 people have been killed in Gaza since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas, according to Palestinian officials. And the World Health Organization says that the situation is, quote, spiraling out of control. The Advocate Channel's John Lawrence reports.
As pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian rallies are held separately in the U.S., Gaza is about to get some much-needed assistance.
Well, I got no pushback, virtually none. Let me say it again. I got no pushback.
From the Israelis or from all the partners here?
All the partners.
The Biden White House has earmarked $100 million worth of support for Gaza and the West Bank.
I was very blunt about the need to support getting humanitarian aid to Gaza. Get it to Gaza and do it quickly.
The funds will be used to support the more than 1 million people who've been displaced since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas.
Material has to get in to Gaza, medicine and food and fuel. Fuel, by the way, is not just for the civilian population. It powers things like desalination plants that help provide water.
Israel says it will eradicate Hamas after the militant group's attack on an Israeli music festival earlier this month that killed 1,400 people, while Palestinian officials are blaming Israel for Tuesday's deadly blast on a hospital in Gaza.
I went into the building and suddenly heard strikes. Many of my friends were killed.
A spokesperson for the Israel Defense Forces and U.S. government officials both believe Palestinian Islamic Jihad is to blame for the hospital attack, which the group denies. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Several House Republicans who voted against Representative Jim Jordan's House speakership bid say that they are receiving threats as they struggle to elect a speaker. Those Republicans say that they are experiencing pro-Jordan robocalls, text messages, and even death threats since the casting of their votes. Jordan condemned the death threats, saying that it's just wrong and we don't want it to happen to anyone, any American, anybody, and any member of Congress. On Wednesday, Jordan failed to clinch the speakership after 2 rounds of voting. 22 GOP votes were against Jordan's bid, which was 2 more from Tuesday's vote. Right now, the House remains effectively frozen. It has been without a speaker for 2 weeks after the historic ouster of Kevin McCarthy. Former President Barack Obama pulled out of a scheduled event at Harvard University due to COVID-like symptoms. A senior advisor says that the 62-year-old Obama woke up Wednesday morning feeling sick. America's youngest living president had planned to give a speech at Harvard's Future of the Internet Summit. The number of reports of UFOs being reported to the U.S. government is increasing. Dozens of reports have been received each month and thousands more are expected in the near future. That's according to the director of the office established to investigate the incident. The majority of the reports turned out to be balloons or drones, but some required further investigation and might even be objects used to spy on the U.S. One reason for the increase in reports is the Federal Aviation Administration starting to provide information to the Pentagon. The Pentagon is preparing 2 new portals for submissions, one for historical sightings and current or former government employees and contractors, and a second for public submissions of new reports. Americans' net worth surged at a historic pace from 2019 to 2022. That's according to Federal Reserve data released Wednesday. The numbers are a reflection of the pandemic-era tremendous economic swings and the wealth generated from home ownership. The real median net worth slewed by a whopping 37% in 2022 from the pre-pandemic 2019 numbers. That's more than double the next largest increase on record. But not all is good news here. The latest iteration of the Fed survey of consumer finances also showed that income inequality widened. The data shows that housing became increasingly unaffordable for many Americans over the 3-year period. Well, thank you so much for joining us for AT24/7. For more, go to theadvocatechannel.com and subscribe on the Advocate Channel YouTube page. For the Advocate Channel, I'm Aaron Dean.